When you habitually think about someone, it can feel mysterious, like your mind is trying to tell you something spiritual or fated. You may wonder if they're thinking about you too, if it means you made a mistake, or if you're supposed to reach out. But most of the time, habitual thoughts about one person aren't magic. They're psychology. They're your brain running a pattern that once helped you feel connected, safe, understood, or oriented in your world. This isn't meant to minimize how real it feels. If someone keeps showing up in your mind, it's usually because they mattered to you in some way, romantically, emotionally, socially, or even symbolically. Maybe they were someone you loved. Maybe they were someone who rejected you. Maybe they were someone you never fully had. Maybe they were tied to a chapter of your life that felt intense, hopeful, or unfinished. Whatever the story is, the fact that you can't stop thinking about them doesn't mean you're weak. It means something in you learned to circle around them for a reason. There are many reasons we fixate, replay, daydream, check, compare, or quietly search for signs of a person everywhere. But if we had to bring it down to 3 core things that are usually happening underneath, they would be these. Your brain is maintaining an attachment bond. Your mind is trying to resolve uncertainty, and your nervous system is using the person as an emotional regulator. Each one can keep thoughts looping, even when you genuinely want to move on. The first thing happening is attachment activation. In psychology, attachment isn't just something children have with parents. Adults form attachment bonds too. When you get close to someone, especially romantically, your brain begins to file them under. Important to my safety and stability. This doesn't have to mean the relationship was perfect. It doesn't even have to mean it was healthy. It means you invested, you hoped, you oriented your life around their presence in some way. Your mind built a map where that person became a landmark. When the bond is threatened through distance, conflict, rejection, breakup, or inconsistency, your attachment system activates, and one of its main tools is mental preoccupation. In simple terms, your brain thinks about the person more as a way to pull you back toward connection. This is why many people can function fine while the relationship is stable, but become obsessive when it's uncertain. It's not because you suddenly became too much, it's because attachment systems respond to threat by increasing pursuit. If you've ever noticed your thoughts intensify after being left on red, after a cold interaction, after a breakup, or after seeing them with someone else, that's attachment alarm. The mind becomes vigilant. It searches for clues. It scans memory. It tries to predict what the person will do next. This is a survival strategy at its core. How do I restore closeness? How do I prevent loss? In the modern world, it looks like spiraling. But deep down, it's your system trying to re-establish security. Attachment activation is also why you can miss someone who wasn't good for you. Your attachment system isn't a moral compass. It doesn't always choose what's best for you. It chooses what's familiar and what once brought relief. If someone alternated between warmth and distance, your attachment system may have worked overtime to keep the connection. That can create a strong mental imprint. It's not a sign that they were your soulmate. It's a sign that your brain learned, I have to think about them to stay connected. You might also notice that you habitually think about someone you didn't even date, maybe a situationship, a crush, an emotionally intimate friendship, a coworker you felt bonded with, or someone you had a short but intense connection with. Attachment doesn't require a long timeline. If the emotional charge was high, if there was chemistry, vulnerability, novelty, or validation, your brain can attach quickly, especially if you were lonely, stressed, going through a transition, or craving connection at the time. Sometimes habitual thinking is also tied to your attachment style. People with more anxious attachment tendencies may be more prone to repetitive thoughts. Especially after ambiguous interactions, their nervous system is highly sensitive to relational cues. That doesn't mean they're broken. It means they learned, often earlier in life, that love could be inconsistent, and so they became skilled at monitoring closeness. If you recognize yourself here, you're not alone and you're not doomed. Attachment patterns can shift with awareness, boundaries, and safe relationships. The second thing happening is your mind is trying to resolve uncertainty and complete a story. The brain hates open loops. In psychology, this is related to concepts like the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks and unresolved experiences tend to stay more active in memory. That's why you can think more about the person you never got closure with than the person you clearly outgrew. Certainty allows the mind to file something away. Uncertainty keeps it on your desk. If you find yourself thinking, "But when it was good, it was so good, pay attention," that sentence can be the signature of intermittent reinforcement. Healthy love doesn't rely on extremes to feel real. It feels steady enough that your mind doesn't have to keep solving it like a puzzle. The third thing happening is emotional regulation through mental representation. This sounds clinical, but it's deeply human. We use people, sometimes even the idea of people, to regulate our emotions. When you feel anxious, you might think of someone who calms you. When you feel lonely, you might imagine someone holding you. When you feel insecure, you might replay a moment where you felt chosen. When you feel bored or empty, you might reach for the stimulation of thinking about someone who once lit up your world. In psychology, we might say the person has become an emotional anchor in your mind. Not because they're necessarily good for you, but because your brain associated them with relief, even if they also caused pain. If they sometimes soothed you through attention, affection, sex, reassurance, or simply their presence, your brain learned that thinking of them changes your internal state. This is why habitual thoughts often spike at predictable times: at night, when you're alone, when you're stressed, after a disappointment, on weekends, during holidays, after seeing couples, after drinking, after scrolling. Your mind is reaching for regulation. It's like your brain saying, "I don't know how to hold this feeling, let me grab the familiar person thought." Sometimes what you crave isn't even the person, it's the version of you that you were around them. Maybe you felt more attractive, more alive, more hopeful, more interesting. Maybe they reflected back a version of you that you miss. In that case, you're not only missing them, you're missing access to that identity. Your mind returns to them as a shortcut to feeling like yourself again. There's also a painful version of this. You think about someone because your brain associates them with threat and wants to protect you. If the relationship included betrayal, manipulation, emotional volatility, or sudden abandonment, the brain may keep the person in your awareness as a form of vigilance. It's like your nervous system saying, "Don't forget. Stay alert. Learn the pattern so it doesn't happen again." This is why you can obsess over someone who hurt you. It's not longing, it's a trauma-styled monitoring response. This is also why it's not always helpful to ask, "Why can't I stop thinking about them?" in a way that implies you're broken. A better question is, what happens in my body right before the thoughts start? Do you feel anxiety, emptiness, shame, restlessness? The thought may be a response to an emotion, not a random event. If you can identify the emotion under the thought, you can begin to meet the real need instead of chasing the person in your mind. Now let's make this practical, because understanding the psychology is comforting, but you also need tools. If you habitually think about someone, the goal is not to force the thoughts to stop immediately. The mind doesn't respond well to force. The goal is to reduce the grip those thoughts have, reduce the triggers that feed them, and build new emotional regulation strategies so your brain no longer needs to use that person as a stabilizer. The first step is to stop interpreting the thoughts as instructions. A thought is not a command. Thinking about someone does not mean you should text them. It does not mean you're meant to be together. It does not mean you're failing at healing. It means your brain is activating a pattern. You can name it. This is attachment. This is uncertainty. This is my nervous system seeking regulation. Naming creates distance. The second step is to reduce cues. The brain is cue-driven. If you keep their photos visible, keep checking their social media, keep old chats pinned, keep gifts in your line of sight, your brain will keep receiving prompts. This isn't about erasing them from your life like they never existed. It's about reducing involuntary activation. Mute, unfollow, archive. Delete shortcuts. Put photos in a hidden folder. Pack away objects for now. Give your mind fewer sparks to catch fire. The third step is to replace the regulation strategy. If your mind uses them to soothe anxiety, you need other soothing methods ready. This can be as simple as breathing that lengthens the exhale, a short walk, a warm shower, holding a pillow, calling a friend, doing a 5-minute cleanup, or journaling for 10 minutes. The brain doesn't just stop a habit, it swaps it. If you remove the person thought without replacing what it was doing for you, your mind will keep reaching back. Journaling can be especially effective if you do it in a structured way. Instead of writing pages of longing, try prompts that create resolution. Write, what am I feeling right now? What triggered it? What story is my brain telling? What are the facts? What do I need today? This moves you from rumination to regulation. Reflection resolves. Rumination repeats. Another tool is a truth list. When we habitually think about someone, we often remember them through emotional filter, either idealized or demonized. Make a list of true statements about the relationship that your brain tends to forget when it's craving. Include unmet needs, inconsistencies, values mismatches, and how you felt during the hard moments. This isn't to punish yourself, it's to counteract selective memory. When a craving hits, read the truth list, then do something grounding. If the fixation is fueled by uncertainty, you can also create your own closure statement. A closure statement is a short paragraph. You write and agree to repeat when your mind starts negotiating. Something like, the relationship ended. I may never understand everything, but I understand enough to choose myself. I don't need more information to heal. I release the need to solve what they couldn't communicate. This is not denial, it's a boundary with your own mind. If the fixation is fueled by intermittent reinforcement, the most effective intervention is consistency. Consistency in your boundaries and consistency in your self-care. Intermittent reinforcement trains the brain to keep checking. Consistent non-engagement trains it to stop. That's why just one peak can reset the loop. Not because you're weak, but because you're conditioning your brain again. Be gentle but firm. Each time you don't check, you're rewiring. If the fixation is connected to loneliness, you don't fix it by shaming yourself for missing them. You fix it by increasing real connection. This doesn't mean jumping into a new relationship immediately. It means widening the circle of support. Friends, family, group activities, classes, communities, volunteering, therapy. The brain relaxes when it feels held by more than one thread. If the fixation is connected to self-worth, it helps to notice whether you think about them most when you feel insecure. Some people become mental mirrors. If you felt chosen by them, your brain uses them as proof that you are lovable. When they're gone, your brain tries to retrieve that proof by thinking about them. The deeper work here is building self-worth that isn't dependent on one person's attention. This can look like keeping promises to yourself, setting boundaries, pursuing goals, and practicing self-respect in small daily ways. And if the fixation is connected to betrayal or emotional injury, you may need trauma-informed support. Intrusive thoughts, hypervigilance, and obsessive replay can be part of your nervous system trying to prevent future harm. Grounding techniques, somatic practices, and therapy can help your brain process the threat and stop scanning. Your mind is not trying to torture you. It's trying to protect you using the only method it currently trusts: constant review. Let's also address a fear many people have. If I stop thinking about them, does that mean what we had wasn't real? No. It means you're integrating the experience rather than living inside it. The relationship can be meaningful and still be over. Your mind can honor it without rehearsing it daily. Healing doesn't erase love. It changes your relationship to love. Another fear: what if I'm thinking about them because they're the one? Chemistry and obsession can feel similar in the body. Both can create urgency, craving, and mental preoccupation. But healthy connection tends to create clarity and steadiness over time, not persistent anxiety and confusion. If thinking about them makes you feel panicked, small, or unstable, that's not a sign of destiny. That's a sign of dysregulation. Sometimes you are thinking about them because you're avoiding something else. This is another gentle truth. The brain will often choose a familiar emotional pain over an unfamiliar attack, a career decision, a difficult conversation, a sense of emptiness, grief unrelated to them, or fear of being alone. The person thought becomes a distraction that feels meaningful. If you suspect this, ask, what am I not facing when I face them in my mind? This question can be uncomfortable, but it can also be freeing. If you want a simple framework to use in the moment, try this 3-step reset when the thoughts arise. Step 1, label it. I'm having the thought of them again. Step 2, locate it in the body. My chest feels tight. My stomach feels heavy. Step 3, meet the body need. I'm going to breathe slower. Drink water, step outside, text a friend, or write for 5 minutes. This teaches your system that it can survive the feeling without needing the person. Over time, the thoughts will usually reduce in frequency and intensity, but not because you force them away. They reduce because you stop feeding them with cues, you stop rewarding them with checking behaviors, and you learn new ways to regulate emotions. Your brain learns, I don't need this loop to feel okay. It's important to know that some level of thinking is normal. If someone mattered, memories will surface. The goal isn't to delete them, the goal is to regain choice. You want to be able to remember without spiraling, to miss without acting impulsively, to reflect without ruminating. Choice is the sign of healing. You may notice you're making progress when you can catch the thought earlier. At first, you might spiral for hours before realizing what happened. Later, you'll notice within minutes. Eventually, you'll notice at the first trigger. That's growth. Another sign is when the thought leads to a neutral feeling instead of a collapse. You remember them and you keep living your day. That's integration. Also, be careful with self-judgment. People often say, I'm still thinking about them, so I must not be over it. But healing isn't measured by whether thoughts appear. It's measured by whether you abandon yourself when they do. Each time you respond with kindness and grounding instead of checking, pleading or self-blaming, you're rebuilding trust with yourself. If you're currently stuck in habitual thinking about someone, consider what category fits best. Is it primarily attachment? Your system wants closeness. Is it uncertainty? You want answers. Or regulation? You're using them to soothe or stimulate. It can be more than one, but naming the main driver gives you a target. Attachment calls for boundaries and safe connection elsewhere. Uncertainty calls for acceptance and your own closure. Regulation calls for new coping skills and nervous system support. And here is one more gentle truth to carry. Sometimes the reason you can't stop thinking about them is because the relationship represented something you deeply want: love, stability, excitement, being chosen, being seen. In that case, the person is not only a person, they are a symbol. Your mind is returning to the symbol because the desire is real. Instead of chasing the symbol, you can honor the desire directly. You can build a life where you are seen. You can create stability. You can pursue excitement through growth. You can learn to choose yourself. Habitual thoughts are not a prophecy. They are a pattern. Patterns can be understood. Patterns can be softened. Patterns can be replaced. You don't have to fight your mind like it's an enemy. Your mind is trying to protect you, connect you, and regulate you. Thank it for trying, then guide it somewhere safer. With time, consistency, and gentleness, the person will stop being the center of your mental world. Not because they didn't matter, but because you returned to yourself. And that is the real shift. The day your mind starts coming home to you more often than it goes looking for them, you'll realize the habit is breaking, the attachment is loosening, the story is closing, the nervous system is learning peace again.